You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us. As always, my name is Paul.
My name is Rob. Thank you for joining us for a few minutes out of your day. We really appreciate it. And talk a little equipment today. And it's always fun.
You know, it's also fun to be proven right over a long period of time. So,
do tell.
Well, you know, this show is all about the Mavic 3 Enterprise. And I think that there are going to be some very interesting kind of bombshells that come out of this. We might have just found a hack to have a mapping drone for around the price of a Phantom. But we're going to have to see, and we're going to have to do some further testing. But
now, to clarify, are we talking just the Mavic 3 or the Mavic 3 Enterprise?
The Mavic 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be a fun show. So why don't we go ahead and get right into that question. Don't forget, if you want access to 40 classes to help you turn your passion into profit, you want to fly, but you also want to be good at flying. You want to know the right skills to pay the bills, and you want to have different drone jobs that you can go after. There is not a bigger library of practical use cases to use your drone and make money. Just go to thedroneu.com and become a member. And also check out our new wedding course. Check out our business course. And thank you to all the members who joined this last month. It was one of our biggest months in a long time. We appreciate it. And we've got a lot of new course content coming for you. One of those courses, by the way, is our new Cinewhoop course. And we're going to have, we've got Don't Crash courses on the Mavic 3 series coming up. But I got to say, Rob, you know, it pays to research, and research shows that there might be more value in this Mavic 3. Although I really can't stand flying this damn thing. But let's hear that question.
Hey, Paul and Rob, Tom again. Hey, now that the Mavic 3 Enterprise and Thermal are out now, what are your guys' thoughts on those? Thanks.
No, so he's asking about the Enterprise.
Yeah, he is asking about the Mavic 3 Enterprise, which did come out. We are seeing that there are two Mavic 3 Enterprises available. You've got the Mavic 3 Enterprise, just the entry level, and then the Mavic 3 Enterprise Thermal, which is a very, very similar setup to the M30T. The main difference is that the Mavic 3 Enterprise does not have an IP rating or a weatherproof rating or a rain rating, which I actually kind of think is kind of funny. And it also doesn't have certain features on the thermal camera that you would have on the M30T, more kind of advanced features, the isotherms, determining, specific spot temperatures, etc. And I have to say that the big kind of bombshell around this whole thing, and it's actually thanks to Tom in some part, is that we were right when we initially got this Mavic 3 and DJI refused to answer us. And I think it goes to show their strategy, because they used YouTubers who literally have zero photogrammetric experience, and they're talking about photogrammetry, and it makes you wonder why. And if you go back to when they launched the Mavic 3, they said, no, this is an electronic shutter. It is not a mechanical shutter. It is not a global shutter, etc. But if you looked at when the Mavic 3, not the Enterprise, was leaked, and you look at the specs, the camera on the Mavic 3 and not the Mavic 3 Cine, the camera on the Mavic 3 is the exact same as the camera on the Mavic 3 Enterprise. The Mavic 3 Enterprise states that it is a mechanical shutter. If you look at the leaked data before the Mavic 3 came out, in the Chinese format of the data, it said that it was also a mechanical shutter. So we know for a fact that the Mavic 3 does have the same camera and shutter as the Mavic 3 Enterprise. We also know that DJI is starting to support an SDK or software development kit access to third-party apps to provide for mapping. So there might be an amazing hack to be able to use a Mavic 3 for mapping instead of a Mavic 3 Enterprise, but I'm sure that DJI is going to make mapping a lot easier on a Mavic 3 Enterprise than a Mavic 3. But if you do have a Mavic 3 and it's kind of just sitting around because you realize how much it sucks to fly as well, there is good news. You might be able to actually do some mapping missions with the aircraft itself.
It's funny because I've actually heard some people that say they love their Mavic 3.
I'm happy for them.
Yeah. I'm glad. That's big of you to be happy for them. I kind of am curious back to the thermal and the comparison with the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Is it Enterprise Thermal or just the Mavic 3 Thermal?
They call it the M3 ET.
Okay, the
ET drone
M3 ET phone home. Yeah, drone home. Anywho, I'm wondering if it's worth the jump to the M30T because it's more than twice as much. So are those additional features that you mentioned worth it?
Well, I think in public safety they are.
Okay.
I just don't know in the commercial world if they are. I want to know things and I want to test things like mapping a solar installation and see if we can still get the right sort of data to be able to make those interpretations and decisions on solar panels. We're getting both drones, which I'm very excited about. And so we'll be able to do those comparisons. I think for the commercial world, I think the Mavic 3 Enterprise Thermal is probably going to be sufficient for most needs, but I think it might be a little premature to make that statement.
Got it.
I'm just glad. I am legitimately glad if people do enjoy flying this drone, but I've seen that with the Mavic 3 Enterprise, you have attitude mode. So it's like DJI does know exactly what's valuable to drone pilots. A sensorless flight mode to avoid all emergencies. They get the mechanical shutter. So they understand the formula now, but they're dissecting the audience based off of commercial and quote unquote consumer, and they're using the same aircraft. So
one might say it's smart business, as frustrating it is as a consumer.
One might also say that they are leaving a tremendous gap open for companies like Skydio,
True,
Free Fly Systems,
if only.
Sony. Yeah, you guys got to take advantage of
Please.
This crap. Like seriously, get to it. But I honestly would probably buy the Mavic 3 Enterprise just to have attitude mode and really know what this damn drone can do. Because on the Mavic 3 consumer, they software limit the crap out of this thing. And thanks to drone hacks, we can really tone a lot of that back. But to have to do all of that work when you could just pull a Mavic 3 Enterprise out of the box and have all of those features, I mean, talk about a powerful little aircraft. For all of our Phantom users out there, if you don't want to go to the Anafi with a Parrot, you want to stick with DJI, Mavic 3 Enterprise is probably going to be the drone for you. Now, if you have clients who require, Blue SUAS compliance, for example, well, then I've got bad news for you. Or good news for you, there is an option. The Anafi AI is a phenomenal aircraft that does kind of fit the bill to do some mapping, but it's not a global shutter. So that there are some limitations. One other thing I'm curious about is DJI also kept the megapixels rather small on this bird, even though we know a micro four thirds sensor is much more capable of more than just 20 megapixels. I know you can get 32 out of it, no problem. And so that said, it's going to be interesting to see the development of the Mavic from here. DJI is clearly trying to replace the Phantom with the Mavic 3 Enterprise, but if they keep these short timelines of drone lifespans, I think people are going to stop buying DJI because the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual Advance came out almost 2 years ago, and it's now being faded out. And it's one of the most valuable drones they've ever made. And if they keep coming out with a new drone every 2 years instead of reiterations, they might find that some people kind of give up on them, because let's think about how long the Phantom was around for.
So are you saying that that's the case because they stopped supporting the previous model?
Well, yeah,
Otherwise,
the
you could-
timeline in which they did so, yes.
Right. So they're squeezing that, because as long as they continue to support it, but it doesn't sound like they are, then you could just skip a generation.
Yes, and I've heard varying news and speculation on that. Some people have already tried to get some support on the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual, and they told me DJI was like, no, we can't help you on that. And I've had other people who have had no issue. So I'm not sure if that's a deviation in personnel or what. So
Yeah, who knows? And I guess one thing about the drone industry that's fascinated me is that I don't think that there's been a really solid solution for a third-party sort of maintenance and fixer company. It's really interesting. I mean, I don't know. There's probably some out there that do it well, like that have divisions. I don't know, maybe a Drone Nerds or something. But it seems like there'd be a really good opportunity for that.
yeah, 100%. And another thing to think about too for public safety that just hit me is that the Mavic 3 thermal, does it have the speaker and all of that? Because if the Mavic 3 has like the speaker and the light and all that, might actually be more valuable than an M30T in certain instances. So yeah, look at accessories really quick. Let's see, what accessories? Yep, it sure does. So honestly, Mavic 3 thermal might actually be more valuable in certain cases than an M30T, but we'll be able to provide you with more information on that coming soon. Because DJI is playing a lot of games that I really can't stand. And I know a lot of people don't like it either. It's almost like saying, hey, you have a Ford F-150, but you can only use one turbo unless you buy the Enterprise version. Then you can use both turbos.
Oh, so you mean like Tesla does business?
Oh, yikes. There is a reason why I'm shorting Tesla.
No way. Isn't it in the 200s?
It is, yeah.
I think it's a buy.
Uh-oh. I know a lot of people have said that they don't see Tesla as a car company. They see it as a data company. I want to know how they're using the data. So,
well, just to make better cars, Paul.
We should have brought this up during the disaster relief show, because Tesla is causing one of the biggest problems in Florida's history right now when it comes to relief and recovery after a hurricane. These cars are flooding. And the water is getting in the battery pack, and it's causing these like astronomically out of control fires.
Not to mention just generally dangerous environments to go into.
Bingo.
I did not think about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rob, and I'm sorry for listeners. You might disagree with me. If you do, eloquently send in a question with your explanation. I do not see the value of electric cars right now at all. I really don't.
Oh gosh, no. I'm 100% on board. I tell you what I believe. I don't know why we got onto this, but it's kind of fun.
Hey.
If you don't want to listen to this, you can stop listening now. I think we're done with the Mavic 3.
Yeah. Long story short, let's just end it really quick. Mavic 3, the non-Cine version, can do mapping with I'll have a video coming out here shortly on how to activate the mechanical shutter through a hack system. But Mavic 3 Enterprise, I would probably prefer, just because you have the attitude mode, you've got the voltage on main screen, and you have a lot of other parameters that are really great. I also think what a shitty application for acquisition. I can't wait for third-party stuff. It really shows the lack of knowledge, but at the same time, I get to see in those videos like, okay, this would be good for this would be good for that. So again, well done, buddy. But for me, I would be going Mavic 3 Enterprise just because of ease and convenience of being able to use it. I know that's important for a lot of you. And also for me, it would be way more fun to fly. So it also opens up use cases significantly by having that attitude mode. So back to electric cars there, Rob.
I'm all for hybrids. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, dude.
Hybrids make a ton of sense. Pure EV, stupid.
Dude, the F-150 power boost, if that thing fit in my garage, it'd be in the driveway right now.
I cannot even imagine. I mean, I love the concept. I think they're super cool cars. I'm seeing them. You can't even get the Lightning, and I'm seeing it on. I just saw one this morning because I check car auctions all the time, and there's one on there that still has a ways to go in the auction for $110,000.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's said nicely.
Yeah. Well, and did you see the guys from the Dude Dads from Fort Collins did a video on towing? And then this is what I hate about YouTube, right? They did a phenomenal video. They only were able to tow a super tiny, like 12-foot trailer.
Like 3,000 pounds, if that.
If that, yeah. And they could only go between here and Colorado Springs. 80 miles, that was it, before they had to completely recharge.
And we don't know what size battery that particular truck had or, what, but nonetheless, that's not going to cut it.
No. And then someone else got famous for doing another video showing the exact same thing. And
But the bottom line is, where the hell do you think the power comes from?
Yeah.
It is not rocket science.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So anyways.
Hey, this brought up a dream, since we're really off switch tracking here. This brought up a dream I had the other day of like take an old Charger, not the new ones, like the 70s versions of the Chargers with that big rear wing, cut out the holes in the rear wing, electrify the car, and in those holes create vertical axis wind turbines. So you're literally using the drag coefficient of the vehicle to recharge it.
It's like a Cinecar. Cinewhoop car or something. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, the military was able to create a perpetual aircraft by having a pusher and a puller motor. The puller motor was essentially powering the pusher motor. And what they would do is they would change the elevation angle of attack over time. So it's kind of in this constant undulating flight path, and they could fly perpetually. Why can't we do that with a car? So...
Yeah. Wow. Perpetual motion machine in the form of a car, huh?
Well, and then why not have solar panels all over the car?
Well, they've tried that.
Well, and then why not add like some sort of specialized glass or lens over the solar panels to essentially like have a magnifier effect on the solar panels?
Interesting idea. I bet they're working on that. I bet Tesla's working on that.
I've heard of another company working on that. But also, if you buy an electric car right now and you know this next piece of information that's going to be extremely valuable for the drone industry too, this industry is going to revolutionize in 3 years. There's my prediction. Why? Aiden Technologies, they just developed a battery, like literally the size of this battery, that could charge in 3 minutes and fly twice as long. Because again, changing the anode on the battery. And so when that comes out and it's commercially and industrially available, you're now going to be able to recharge your car in the same time that it takes to fill it up with gas, and it'll go twice as far. That's when electric cars might make more sense.
Absolutely. And let me make it clear. I get the concept and the lack of emissions, et cetera, that is conceptual. It's a dream that could come to fruition with technology like that. And to continue to work on it is fabulous. It's not the savior that some people like to believe that it is, and that's fine. Whatever, do you.
And it's going to be, a ramp up of innovation to get to where we want to. And I mean, I feel bad for people who bought Rivians and whatnot, because they all got recalled. All of them. It's like...
Yeah, and that's not like a Tesla recall where it was like a little software update. Those trucks are going in.
Oh, yeah. And I just got a recall for my truck on something silly because of supply chain stuff.
One of the differences with your truck getting a recall, I think every car I have has some sort of recall, but of course my cars are old. But anyways, there's Ford dealerships everywhere.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
There's not Rivian dealerships everywhere.
No.
I don't know what you're going to do. Like if you had a Rivian shipped to you in Montana or something, I don't know. I do, because by the way, the Rivian like SUV version, that thing is super cool. By the way, those on auctions are going for like 140 grand.
Oh my, I hope Ford learns, because Ford invested in Rivian, and if they took some of the storage stuff from Rivian and implemented it into like a Bronco or a Expedition, because I refuse to buy the new Expeditions. I just had one for a couple weeks, and because my truck was at Ford for 3 weeks because I think I overtowed there, Rob. But
I know. I'm Yeah, that would. Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway,
All's well that ends well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend a new one. So all that to be said, Mavic 3 Enterprise, it is definitely the replacement to the Phantom. If you already have a Mavic 3, can you do mapping with it? Yes, we'll have further videos on exactly how to do that. We really appreciate you being here, and we'll have more information out on this shortly. So thank you very much for your support. Hopefully I'm being nicer and all of you enjoy that, as it is my goal to not be arrogant, and also it is not my goal to be drone police. At the end of the day, I love making people feel better about flying, feel more confident, and I think that there is no one else in the industry that has the experience, the wisdom, or the infrastructure that we do to be able to support that. Because if you're making YouTube videos all day, you can't have super in-depth courses that teach people how to do.
And by the way, you can say that as a collective, like all of our instructors, the people that are a part of our team, is why we can say that so confidently.
I love seeing Drone U grow too. You're going to be seeing a lot more of us in places you never thought. So all I have to say is thank you. Thank you very much, because at the end of the day, our heart is in the right place. I know some people have questioned that about me, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you very much. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
My name's Rob. AskDroneU.com.
Send in those questions.